Gotham Season 5, Episode 6, 13 Stitches. So this episode, I would definitely say, introduced a lot of cool concepts, or at least it did a lot of cool things. It didn't really introduce that much. We did find out that, we get Lee, which I've been mentioning, like, where the F is Lee? Lee is in this episode. Lee comes back. We find out at the end that she was the second person that was implanted with the chip, which makes perfect sense because she was knocked out just like Ed was. So she also got a chip put in her head by Walker, which is also taken care of instantaneously because Jim like rips the little cord out of the lamp and then he just zaps her in the neck. And I was like, oh, okay, well that was taken care of pretty quick. So he saved two people from brain chips and all in one episode. He fried the chip in Ed's head by hitting him with the shock paddles, which I guess if it's low enough, technically it wouldn't kill him. But I'm like, that was pretty crazy. But he fries that, so Ed is fine. They're getting chased down, through the whole episode, and Jim basically makes his escape a couple of different times, and then he ends up teaming up with Bruce and Alfred and Lucius, as well as, of course, Ed no longer being under control. He decides, well, I guess I have to, have his help, and Barbara ends up helping them too. So they team up. They're like, all right, this is what we're gonna do to try to, broadcast the information. Now that we have the chip from Ed's head, they have like all the sound files and everything, like everything that was said to Ed while he was under control is basically recorded in audio. So they have all that information and they need to broadcast it from the top of GCPD. So they team up. Ed goes in, which I loved the scene that he had where of all the people, it was Bullock, of course, that solved the problem. But I love that scene where he goes in, he's like, he says this super long, crazy riddle. He's got his suit on, the bomb suit, and it's like, okay, let's see how this plays out. They also didn't shoot him, which I thought was interesting. Like, he was lifting the mask up, and I was like, I guess, because, he hadn't said it at that point, but I don't know, I guess they didn't know what may or may not happen, but I was like, he hasn't done anything yet. But you do have to consider those processes. I kind of just wish they would have talked about, like, why don't we just shoot you in the face? You got the shield up. It's like, and then he could have lied. But I just thought it was funny. Like, they didn't, it was just like, someone would just shot him since he had the shield up. But, they go through that process, and it's really just meant for stalling because they need like 2 minutes or so. And so he's there. He's just standing, kind of waiting around, like, this would be cool. Not much of a bomb. I assume it wasn't actually a bomb. So it was like, he's going through. It's just like, all right, let's see, kind of just waiting around. Like, everything's cool. They can't shoot me because, I'm like super duper bulletproof. So he was fine. Everything was pretty much good. And then, of course, Harvey ends up solving it. And it's like, oh, crap. Like, we're screwed. And he just gets shot up. And I thought that was a really funny scene. But I definitely enjoyed that. Bruce ends up taking on, like, one of the people. Like, he's like, what are you doing on the roof? Bruce beats the crap out of that guy. I just thought it was entertaining. I was like, he just destroyed him. Like, there was no contest. Like, he's Bruce Wayne. What can you do, I guess? But Bruce just destroyed that guy. So I was like, that's just a funny scene because he beat him so bad to me. It was just funny. But go through the whole process. Everything's good. Sort of, they're half and half deal. We find out that Lee is there. So, of course, that's kind of the big trade that they were going to do. And then they go through the process of, everything with Lee and her actually being implanted. Eduardo actually, I'm assuming, being Bane based on what they did with the mask and how he sounded and stuff. And I was like, they did Eduardo. That's a Spanish name, Spanish-based name. So I guess it kind of fits in there. So I was like, all right, so that's how they're doing it. That's how they're saving him. I guess they're gonna switch out the character or the actor, and he's gonna be like crazy bulky or something. I don't know, or he'll just have the mask and he'll just be like a super powered version of Bane, but in the same normal looking body. So we'll see how that plays out. But I was like, okay, they're introducing Bane, very interesting. They also introduced and killed appropriately Magpie, very cool. Didn't realize that was her, which is really funny. I only know her from one thing, which is the Batman 3D show that used to come on Cartoon Network that got canceled after like 12 episodes, like half the series aired before it got canceled. So you'd have to like find that online. And it was the whole series. The main point of that show was to kind of show off like the B villains, and Magpie was actually one of the villains in that series, and she was actually great. She was like insanely dangerous and crazy and a very entertaining villain, oddly enough. And in this, it was like, once they said it, I was like, oh yeah, that's how she looks. Like, she has that exact same sort of haircut in the series, the animated series. And so she has like the sort of bob cut with the white hair, and she's got like the weird black outfit with the feathers and stuff. And she's like this crazy, ninja pretty much. Like, she's a sneak. and also insane. So I love that. I thought it was cool that they had her in there. Her ending was also very cool, admittedly, because she gets shot. The booby trap goes off in Penguin's room. He's now teamed up with Selena after he goes on a search for her so that she can help him help find Magpie. So they escape the room. They're now teamed up. She realizes, Selena realized that he was leaving, so she's like, I went in. So now they're teamed up. They go back, and it's like, here she is, booby trap. She gets hit in the stomach, and Magpie's like, you clipped my wings, like, let me go. He's like, oh, bang, bang. And he just shot her in the chest. And, I was like, holy crap. He just straight up, murdered her. And it was just really crazy. I wasn't expecting that. And I basically had Selena's reaction, dang, what the heck? So that was pretty nuts. I was like, okay, cool. Magpie, not a really popular character or anything like that, but that was intense. Just the way he did it was like, oh, especially with him going bang, bang. I was like, what does that mean? And then he shot her twice and killed her, and I was like, there it is. There you go. I guess that's it. So he was pretty pissed in this episode, and I was like, well, that's a heck of an ending for that character. But that was Magpie. She's pretty cool, at least from what I know from the old animated series, the 3D one. She was pretty cool in that, and she was entertaining in this. Her being super crazy and have these weird bombs. She makes a bomb out of a diamond shape, or a bomb shaped like a diamond. So I thought that was cool, and everything in the room that she had was some stuff in here is a bomb, some stuff isn't. So I thought that was interesting, and I like the way they did her character for the very short stint that she actually had in the series. But I thought that was cool. I was like, all right, that's actually really entertaining. So I like that. We get to see Jeremiah actually kidnap Alfred at the end of this episode. Something I totally forgot to mention in my last review, of course, was the ending of the last episode, which is where Jeremiah I would assume he has people get plastic surgery, and I don't know what the deal is mentally with the characters, how they're gonna act like Martha and what the heck, whatever, Bruce's dad. I can't think of his dad's name right now, but Martha and the dude, Mr. and Mrs. Wayne. So I totally forgot to mention that in my last review, but of course he has them, has somebody, basically perform plastic surgery on two different people. And so he pretty much has clones of Bruce's parents, and now he's kidnapped Alfred, and they're of course in Bruce's home. So the next episode should be insane. It's Ace Chemicals, which is of course where the Joker and Batman fight, and that's how the Joker officially becomes the Joker. It's the whole Ace Chemicals deal. So I don't know what is supposed to happen in this next episode. I mean, obviously he's not going to die because he's supposed to officially be the Joker. So this might just be the end of him in the series itself, and he just kind of vanishes after that. But I also don't know how many episodes we're supposed to get this season. So it'll be interesting to see exactly how that ends up playing out. But it says chemicals. Even in the trailer, they're on the banister, on the railing above the chemical vats and everything. And it's just okay, this is Joker. This is Joker versus Batman. This is the origin of that story, their first big fight. So it'll be interesting to see how they ultimately handle that. But I'm definitely looking forward to the next episode because I can't wait to see what they do with this whole dynamic of, Bruce's parents, being kind of alive and stuff. And obviously they're not, but, whoever is playing his parents, them having the plastic surgery to look like them. And then of course he kidnaps, Alfred to clean the house up and stuff, and it's hey, welcome home, Bruce. Here's your parents, here's your butler. This is where it is. So I don't know what they're going to be doing exactly in the next episode, but I'm definitely looking forward to it. Of course, the big thing at the end of this episode is that we find out that Barbara is actually pregnant. So that I was not expecting at all. I didn't think they did it. I thought they just made out. I didn't think they were doing it in Jim's office because it's he has mosaic glass. That's what you call that, where you can't see through, but you can see silhouettes and stuff, and they're just doing it. It wasn't, considering how the city is, it's not like the GCPD was just closed and nobody was there. I was I didn't think they did it. I just thought they made out and then she left. I didn't think they did it in his office. So I was surprised by that because I was why did they show that scene in the promo? Because they did that, or in the recap, they did it in last week's episode as well, where it was the thing with the RPGs. And so that made sense because it was okay, well, he found the guy who sold the RPG to Ed. And then they showed it again in this episode. I was well, what significance could this have? And it was okay, so it was the scene where they kissed. So they were going to kind of touch on the relationship stuff, but they didn't. They interacted, and I thought that was kind of just the point of that, was that they kissed. So, they talked about some of that stuff while they were at the bar. And then it was nope, it was actually for the end of this episode where Barbara's just like, it's about that good time we had. I think she said I think it was a few days ago, or it may have been like the night before. I don't really remember the time span of the episode. I think it was the night before, and she was just like, I'm pregnant, and it's just like, oh, it's like, good to see you, Lee. Been a minute, and then she just leaves, and I was like, huh. Well, there you go. Like, so Gordon's having a kid with his super insane first ex-wife. Or I think, were they actually married? I think it was just the ex-fiance thing, kind of like Eduardo said. It was like, how many ex-fiancés do you have? So yeah, that was very interesting. We'll see what ends up happening going forward with that whole concept, but definitely looking forward to the next episode. Excited to see if we're gonna learn anything from Lee's perspective, because she had no memory from anything that happened for like 3 months. So she had no memory whatsoever. But now that the chip is fried, I'm curious if she'll like have certain memories, like if they kickstart her brain kind of like they did with Ed, just in a much safer way. I wonder if that would lead to any sort of memories or anything like that, or if she was just always like off the island. Maybe they like sent her in like just in case things go wrong with Ed. Let's put Lee back in the city and stuff like that, because they're like, we found her in some random place, but she couldn't remember literally anything, and so it was almost like she did just wake up. So it was very weird. So I was like, has she just been walking around? Because she doesn't, like, the way she was acting, it didn't seem like she had been walking around for 3 months just lost either, because odds are she would have found Jim. Like, she could have been like, all right, I need to make her from here to here, and I'll most likely get to Jim. It seemed like she legitimately, like, just boom, like she just popped into existence 3 months later. And it's like, what's going on? And she didn't know anything. So I assume that they had her either like frozen in stasis or something weird like that. So maybe she just hasn't been anywhere. She was just like, they had the chip in. They're like, all right, let Ed go as our first ploy, and we'll just keep her on ice. And then once that failed, that's when they officially kind of brought her into the fold as a part of the plan. Then that plan failed to utilize Lee as the chip. And then they're like, all right, well now we'll just activate Lee's chip. So I assume that that's how that played out, but maybe we will get some extra content from Lee. Maybe there'll be something, somewhere in there, her subconscious remembered the stuff that was happening to her as she was kind of under the influence of this mind control chip. But ultimately, we just have to wait and see for the next episode. But definitely enjoyed this one. Can't wait to see where they go with this super crazy Jeremiah Bruce stuff, and Jeremiah officially becoming the Joker, things like that. They're in Ace Chemicals. The title of the episode is Ace Chemicals, so it's like, this is the moment. So I'm excited to see what they end up doing with it. It should be fun, but either way, we'd love to know what you guys thought about this episode. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, least favorite parts about it. And I would love to know, of course, with them going into the Joker Batman moment, really, what do you guys want to see from it? What do you hope will be like the official ending for these characters, or at least this relationship between these two characters, considering the series is going to end before Bruce officially becomes Batman? Like, it'll probably be in the last episode, of course, but excuse me, what do you guys want to see from this big moment, like the origins of Gotham's version of the Joker? So I'd love to know how you guys want to see that play out, how you think it'll play out, what effect you think it'll have on the rest of the season. Will Jeremiah even live as the Joker, or will he just get killed off in the next episode? So I would love to know your predictions on that. I think he'll live, and they'll just have characters go forward as they would normally. They just have different interactions early on compared to like the original comic book universe. But would love to know your predictions on that. Like I said, definitely want to know what you guys thought about this episode in general. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. And of course, thanks for watching.